Satanic cults, bush doofs, the wrong crowd. What really happened to Jackson Stacker and what is going on in Byron Bay's underbelly?
All I have in this world is my laws, my word, and I don't break them for good.
Rightio legends, Chaos Chronicles, and we're back again with another banger. And it seems like after doing the Byron Bay Butcher video last night that a lot of people wanted to see me do a reaction on the whole reaction video, what I done. So I only put a couple of minutes in that last video. So that is what we are doing today. And that reaction video is on Jackson Stacker and his very, very, very strange last few days. And it just blows my mind how they can even label this a suicide of any description. This is definitely satanic behavior. But before we get into it, guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please jump down there, shoot me a subscription. That'd be absolutely appreciated. And if you smash that bell icon, you'll never miss any of my clips again. Alrighty, well, let's get into it. Rightio legends. So this video comes to us by the Gulag, as I said yesterday. So all video credits go to the Gulag. Absolutely awesome video. So let's get into it.
Have you ever heard of the terminology doof doof party? Or some people call them bush raves. Well, if you haven't heard of this terminology, then that's probably a good thing, as I am about to blow your mind. You see, here in Australia, we have these things called doof parties, and it's where a bunch of hippie degenerates who refuse to work and live on Centrelink gather around in a secret location out in the middle of the bush. They set up a bunch of speakers, they set up their strobe lights, and they dance for days on end listening to music that no one can stand to hear the sound of sober. Here, just check it out. Roll the clip. But what if I told you these innocent tree huggers had a dark side, an underbelly, and that one of a force not to be reckoned with? G'day guys, and welcome back to the Gulag. My name is Ryan, and here we tell true crime to come out of Australia. Now strap yourselves in, because we're going to take a dive into the underbelly of Byron Bay and what happened to this.
So trigger warning, this does get very, very deep, and I would say that maybe is not for everyone, but yeah, it does get very, very deep.
Young man named Jackson Stacker. And how did he end up face down, dismantled in a paddock in the middle of nowhere? So without further ado, let's get stuck into the story. This is the true story of Jackson Stacker. Now meet Jackson, a 25-year-old Melbourne born and raised hard-working man. Now he was an apprentice electrician in his 4th year with a bright future ahead of him. But everything changed when he decided to leave it all behind and embark on a road trip down the coast. Now Jackson was always passionate about surfing and loved his free time catching waves. He also had a serious relationship with his girlfriend and was loved by his family and friends. But Jackson felt there was something missing, and he wanted to find himself in a different way. So Jackson packed up his belongings in 2019 and head out for a hippie-style lifestyle in his hi-ace van. His destination? Byron Bay, known for its laid-back atmosphere and its vibrant.
This is very common. Now that I've been doing my research on this is very common. So a lot of the people or the young people that go missing are people that have packed up and like moved away from their old life, so to speak. So they've moved to Byron Bay for a fresh start. And it's not just Australian people. So people come from all around the world to do this. And so many of these young people have met their demise. It's just so weird.
Party scene. Now, at first, Jackson seemed to be living the dream, surfing during the day and partying with his newfound friends at night. But it wasn't long before he got into psychedelics and LSD, which started to take a drastic toll on his mental
which is
health.
big.
Jackson became detached from reality, believing that he was living in a different dimension. His once peaceful road trip turned into a nightmare as he started attracting the wrong crowd. These degenerates would hang around his van, taking advantage of his vulnerability and fueling his drug addiction. They would often take him to dangerous parties in the bushland, miles away from any reception. And these are the parties where often young youths of New South Wales were dying at these parties as a result from ODs and dehydration. It was here that Jackson's paranoia reached its peak. He realized that he had made a grave mistake and the people around him were actually dangerous. But it was already too late. He was caught up in this dangerous world, fueled by drugs and alcohol. And not before long, Jackson started to really seek an excuse to escape these beaches and these car parks and head out to the sand dunes by himself, where he would go anywhere between 2 to 3 days and return very gaunt and skinny, and only return when his Centrelink payments went in. So Jack
And this would be, kind of the way that he met his demise, because he would take off by himself, and people wouldn't really recognize that he had gone missing.
Jackson's family and friends were worried sick about him, but he was too far gone to listen. It wasn't until his mum Sandra finally realised the gravity of the situation and decided to track him down and reach out to his older friends. Now, one of his old friends from Cairns told police while they were staying in a recluse camp in North Queensland up in the Tablelands, they
If someone looks like Jesus, it's that guy right there. He'd be looking like Jesus a lot.
experienced a lot of mind controlling rituals and cult like behaviour. And eventually, they both left after Jackson started to believe in these people and started to really buy into their sexual cults. And so his friend felt like he had to pull him out of there.
So this is something else that I keep on coming up with when I'm doing my research on this Byron Bay stuff, is these sexual cults, these satanic cults, and they all seem to be linked in with these people that go missing. The connection there is crazy.
But during this period of time, there was border restrictions in place. And this prevented Jackson from returning home.
So border restrictions were in place here in Australia in 2019, 2020, over the COVID period. So you weren't allowed to leave your state. And so if you were in that state, you were locked in that state until those borders reopened, and it absolutely sucked.
So he felt like he was trapped in Byron Bay. And well, this is where things turned ugly, because on the 22nd of July 2020, Jackson's mother would hear from him for the very last time. Okay, so from here forth, guys, things get a little messy. So viewers' discretion is advised from this point forth. So on the 22nd,
Yeah, this like I said in yesterday's video, this is triggering for some people. So yeah, this is a bit of a trigger
of
warning.
July, Sandra, which was Jackson's mother, she gave him a call and she reported that everything was as per usual, that he was his normal self and nothing was out of the normal. Now, from there, he had his van parked up in Byron Bay Beach. So it was very common to see a lot of vans parked up for months at a time as the backpackers stayed there, and then they might move 2 weeks later, come back, so on and so forth. But after about a month of this van sitting in the one spot with no human activity, a few backpackers decided to call the police and report on it. Now, when the police went out there and they opened the van up, they soon realized it was Jackson's van, as all his belongings, including his wallet, his phone, and everything that was important to him, was still in the van. Now, it was very evident to the police officers that it was quite musky, so it had been closed up for the entire time, but they did report that it had been turned over and ransacked, almost like someone has gone through all of his belongings and then locked the vehicle and left it there.
Now, isn't that in itself suspicious? So I found that very suspicious, that there's still like someone has ransacked that car, but then locked it again and left it like that. And I think that's suspicious and definitely adds to the craziness of them calling this a suicide. And as you see, this is just going to get crazier and
So
crazier.
now it's the 24th of August, exactly a month and 2 days from when his mother last spoke to Jackson. And that's when they found Jackson's body. Now, Jackson was face down in a paddock about 40 kilometers away from Byron Bay in a little tourist attraction called Sleepy Hollow. Now, when they found him, he had actually been scalped, and they found his scalp with his dreadlocks still attached to it about 13 meters away from his body.
Now, once again, that is just bonkers that someone can be scalped, like literally scalped. If you don't know what that means taking the top part of your scalp off, hair and all. And how is that not suspicious? But not only that, where they found the knife was like embedded in his chest cavity. That is most definitely very, very suspicious. And I can't, it just, it's so bonkers. And then the more you delve into it, it's like the police put all these cases in the too hard basket or something like that, because they are definitely refusing to investigate all of these cases. And this one especially is very, very suspicious.
Not only that, they also found 3 fingers that had been cut off and scattered around the area alongside half of his teeth. Now, this to the police seemed
Missing teeth, missing fingers, missing scalp, knife in the chest cavity, and this is still seen as misadventure. Like 100% to me, this seems like some kind of ritual. Like this is like he's being used for a ritual. Like his teeth, his fingers. Like this is very unheard of stuff, and this isn't something that generally people would do to somebody. Now, generally, if someone would have that kind of things done to them, they've done something very, very, very bad to get that kind of treatment. Even owing somebody hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars is not going to get that kind of treatment. If somebody is not alive, they can't pay their debts. I think it's just all, like I said, ties into these rituals, and yeah, it just blows my mind.
pretty brutal on sight. But it got even worse because as they rolled him over, he had a knife plunged into his chest all the way to the stilts. Okay, guys, so you know how I mentioned earlier how things get weird? Well, this is that part of the story. So, after they conducted the investigation, they actually found zero DNA and zero evidence. Yes, they swabbed the van, they swabbed the surrounding area, they swabbed the body, the clothing, everything they could possibly get their hands on, and it came back with zero matches and zero DNA evidence of anyone else but Jackson. Now, this is where 60 Minutes is doing a cover of this next week, and I'm thinking they're going to find out the real reason. But the coroner in the New South Wales police report put down on the death certificate that this was a suicide, which makes absolutely zero sense to his family. Now, I know what you're thinking. He was on acid and LSD, and he was addicted to these substances, and maybe he could have inflicted this damage himself. But there is just no chance that he was able to plunge a hunting knife 6 inches into his chest whilst cutting off his fingers and removing his own teeth.
And I 100% agree with what he's saying there. Like, I just can't see how this is not seen as exactly what it is. And this is a murder. This young man's life has been taken. How is somebody going to cut their fingers off, pull their teeth out? Because obviously, this has happened after they're suggesting that he took his own life. How? And meanwhile, cutting their scalp off as well. Like, yeah, I've seen and heard of people doing some pretty crazy taking their own lives, but this is just next level. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys, because it just blows my mind that this can even be seen as anything other than what it is.
with no tools or utensils. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the comment section. But next Sunday, 60 Minutes Australia will be doing an episode on this. So 60 Minutes, if you see this, your broski might need a job. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's story. I know we don't have the answers, but we are going to find out next week on 60 Minutes investigation on this.
Well, yeah, there you go. It just blows my mind. But a lot of people in the comment section from yesterday's video are saying that this is a very, very similar thing. And the more I dive into this, this is something that's very common. So someone will lose their life in suspicious circumstances, where they've been taken off into the bush, going to these bush stuffs and getting involved with the wrong people that are involved with rituals and satanic stuff. And it just it just blows my mind. But what blows my mind the most is how the police can just write this off as him taking his own life. You have this person's family and friends and everybody saying that this absolutely would not have happened. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section, guys, because this one's just blown my mind. And we are going to dive deeper and deeper into this. So if you've got anyone else that you would like me to investigate, search into this Byron Bay stuff, chuck it down in the comment section. Also, my email is attached to my channel page, and also the Discord is attached to the channel page, and you can get in contact with me there. All right, legends, if you haven't already subscribed, this is the time to subscribe. I am the Chaos Chronicles. You guys have been absolutely awesome. And if you smash that bell icon, you'll never miss any of my clips again. And as always, don't do drugs and crime and you won't end up in prison. We out. Also, guys, I have been dropping content on my Patreon. My Patreon is also in my link section on my channel page. So the last video that I dropped is a gentleman suggesting, well, he's making some pretty bold claims about Ivan Milat and that whole situation there with the Belangolo State Forest and the serial killers. And this goes right into Freemasons, satanic rituals. And so the last video that I dropped, the gentleman who's making these claims is also making claims that the Wolf Creek movie has a connection with Ivan Milat. And also the Wolf Creek movie is loosely based on Ivan Milat, but they're saying that there may be serial killers involved in that movie a lot more than we all think. So I dropped a video last night, and I will be dropping another video over the next 24 hours. So yeah, you definitely want to jump over there and check out some of these claims because they are just absolutely bonkers. And yeah, I will leave it up for you guys in the comment section to let me know what you think. But anyway, guys, I have been the Chaos Chronicles. You guys have been absolutely awesome. And as always, if you haven't already subscribed, jump down there, shoot me a subscription. That'd be absolutely appreciated. And if you tap that bell icon, you'll never miss any of my clips again. And also, guys, so my Discord and my Patreon and my email address is all in my channel page, and you'll be able to get in contact with me on any of those there. Well, anyway, guys, as always, don't do drugs and crime or you'll end up in prison.